Welcome aboard FreeDive with Seapoint Digital, your go-to podcast for deep dives into the world of digital marketing. I'm Kristy.
And I'm Anna Lynn.
Your hosts navigating through the currents of growth, strategy, and innovation in the digital realm.
We're going to talk. We're going to laugh. It's going to be a good time.
Let's dive in.
This is really exciting because for me, I actually got to know you through this podcast. And now I get to know you in person.
It's a very strange
Yeah.
way to get to know me, but it's exciting.
Yeah, well, it felt appropriate because I feel like you're just very expressive on your
Yes,
podcast.
you've mentioned that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
You have great color in your
It's
in
a
your
nice compliment.
expressions.
I'm choosing to take it as a compliment.
Of course.
Yeah.
It'd be weird to take it any other way.
Well, I was heading down a road of feeling self-conscious with it.
Right. No, don't do that. So you've been how many episodes have you done? Or is it hard to say exactly?
Well, I have some recorded in the backlog.
Hmm.
We didn't introduce this episode.
You did you weren't recording before.
No.
Okay. Well, in this episode,
No, you have to say welcome.
welcome to the FreeDive podcast. In this episode,
They don't know who you
Kristy-
are. You have to say
Kristy
who-
and I, Kevin Burns, will be speaking to each other about topics.
and I'm not going to micromanage it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Burns. This is Kristy,
As they know.
as they know. We're going to be talking to each other. Really just about whatever comes into our minds and whatever we think is interesting. We're recording it just in case you think it's interesting.
That's right.
This is the FreeDive podcast. Focus on free today.
Correct. We're going heavy on the free.
We're very free.
Yeah.
Although you did say you can edit out a lot of stuff in post,
I can. Do I want to?
which is reassuring to a lot of people in my life. But talk to me about podcasting.
Yes.
Since I'm getting to know you, or I got to know you first through this podcast.
Yes.
Listening to you in different parts of the world, actually, on YouTube, on Spotify, and here we are sitting in person. So it's sort of like meeting an old friend. It's sort of like meeting a celebrity.
That's how I like to think of
Um,
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gives me like a little bit of butterflies in my stomach to be sitting here,
That's so sweet.
but not in a good way.
Yeah.
Not in a
Okay.
good way. Not in a good way. So-
Okay.
but I'm really just playing to the audience at this point.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
but tell me about how many podcasts have you done approximately? Because maybe there's been some
Yeah.
funny ones that are hard to count.
By the time this episode posts, I won't know the exact answer, but we're about 20 episodes
Okay.
in. Yeah.
So you're pretty fresh into it compared to the wider world of podcasting.
Getting started. Yes.
And you mentioned to me before the show that you don't listen to a lot of podcasts. You're not a big podcast.
I'm not.
freak.
I'm not.
Not that podcast listeners are freaks,
Correct.
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I do enjoy a good podcast. I enjoy a long podcast, long form podcast if I'm doing something
Hmm.
besides work here in marketing.
Hmm.
Like if I'm working in the yard, for example,
Yeah.
working around the house, I do enjoy having something to listen to besides music sometimes. But what was the feel that you wanted to have in your podcast? Did you have an overall vibe, or what was the idea?
Tone, or do you mean subject?
Yeah,
or
tone.
I
Don't correct me.
I'm trying to understand. I want.
I'll
No,
stick with
I'll
English.
correct you whenever I want. Okay.
This is my show. We're doing it my way,
Yeah.
fellas. Fellas.
Listen, you take the lead. I would love that. I
Right,
usually have to
right.
carry this
Finally,
conversation.
for once in your life,
yeah,
right? Somebody
you-
else take the
yeah,
lead.
you take the lead. That's
Right.
fine.
So my wife says when we dance. For crying out loud, take the lead.
Oh my word. Tone. I knew from the very beginning I wanted the podcast to feel authentic. When you listen to things and it just feels very scripted and phony and like you're trying to be sold something, and the vibe we have here at Sea Point, just in general on our social media, or when no cameras are running at all, is we are all very real people. And I wanted to be able to be myself. I like to the biggest extent possible that is postable to the world.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a level of filter, uh, es-
Is
especially talking about marketing.
I feel like you're trying to like communicate something to me
I'm,
subtly.
I'm,
As you,
I'm trying.
obviously, there's going to be
Listen,
a filter.
listen. I say all the time. I'm like, if I ever started my own personal podcast, I'd be canceled so fast.
Right.
Um, just because very much like we've talked about, just like the thoughts that come flying,
Mhm.
just
Yeah. It is a lot less stressful just being yourself.
yeah.
Because if you're
And
just trying to put on this facade all the time, first of all, most people recognize there's something off.
yes.
And then, something else about, like, let's talk about it in the perspective of like a rock star. Like,
Mhm.
they're generally putting on a facade to the extreme
Yes.
version of like Kiss, like literally putting on a facade every night.
Yes.
And even though they have so many fans, which people on social media, podcasting might
Mhm.
end up in a place like that,
Mhm.
but if they're not really being their authentic self, just pretending,
Yeah.
they're going to feel so alone because they know nobody really knows them.
Mhm. And you're just always being like celebrities. You're being perceived
Yeah.
always, no matter where
Yeah.
you are, what you're doing.
Yeah. I think it ties back into marketing though, because in marketing, you're presenting something publicly and you want to be presentable.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not being authentic to who the company is,
Right.
if you're just pretending to be green,
Yeah.
but you're not really, that's going to be very stressful to the company because everybody knows that's, we make oil. We're not really green.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know,
And so that is part of the pressure that I carry with this podcast, with doing our social media is like I am presenting, it's not just like, oh, this all represents Kristy. It represents C Point Digital. And so I have to like make sure that I'm representing C Point Digital in the best light possible, while at the same time
Mm.
trying to be, light and funny and also giving like as much value as possible. So it's like tying all that together. It has been a long time of trying to figure out where that all like meets a happy
yeah,
medium. So when I started this, I wanted to feel like I was going to be able to laugh a lot on the podcast, be silly and not too serious, while at the same time provide as much value to the listeners as possible, because that's why you listen to a podcast at all, right? Is like it has to be entertaining. You don't want to just listen to people droning on about marketing. Can be so boring, so boring. And so creating a podcast about marketing statistics, like I'm like, how am I going to make that interesting? Well, I'm gonna want interesting guests for one thing. I'm gonna want interesting and a diverse set of topics. So getting all of that together, that was the goal from the beginning.
yeah. Well, I think you really captured in what you were saying. You captured C Point as a company.
Mm-hmm.
It's marketing, but it's genuinely, authentically not just this boring, rigid thing.
Yeah.
People are being themselves, having fun, and producing something of value
Yeah.
at the same time. So I think you're capturing that in the podcast. So good
Thank
job.
you.
How many times do you wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about the podcast?
The morning before it posts. So yeah, Tuesday mornings, I often am like get a little bit of anxiety. Like, did I remember to schedule it? Is it going to post? And then I almost always wake up at 5 o'clock when I know it's going to post and like immediately check my phone. And I have my notifications on. So it tells me that it posted and I can see that it posted on time. And I'm able to be like, and I always double check the copy to be like, okay, yeah, that I put the right copy on it. Like it says the right thing. I posted the right one. Like
And can you go back to sleep at
I
that
can,
point?
I
Okay.
actually
That's
can.
good. That's good.
Yeah. Lately I've been able to devote more of my work time to it. Because
Because there's editing
so
or
between uh reaching out to potential people to be
Mhm.
guests, and just kind of connecting with them, between actually recording the episodes, editing the podcast itself, transcribing the episodes, and then um, creating copy for everything, and then I I posting it when it comes out, like scheduling things, but then also posting the day of, um, and then keeping up with those social channels. So like keeping up with the comments that come out. it is like it's never ending
Yeah.
keeping up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why most podcasts probably have a little bit of a crew,
Whole crew.
right?
Yeah.
And here you are.
Doing all of it.
I believe it's called a one lady crew,
Yeah.
a one man band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
very, it's a lot of work just for one episode and very involved and lots of little micro steps from like making cover art for everything to making different copy for every social channel to making sure the metadata is right in the YouTube. Like it's just so finding the right keywords.
Have you ever woken up and just thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep. Yep.
Is Kevin the only person
Is
listening?
Kevin the only fan I have? Is he the only one listening to this? Actually,
I am not the
Deb
only
is my
one.
other like big. So Deb listens and Anna listens. Like I listen. I know I have tons of, but like my super fans are like right in our own office. So it's like
I think what really happened with the podcast is everybody in the office wanted to hang out with you more, and you didn't really want to hang out with them that much.
Is that what it is?
So you're just like, I'm just going to do a podcast and you can hang out with me whenever you want.
That could be. And they
think
can
so.
just listen to my voice
I
and
think we just got
critique
to the...
my voice and enjoy my voice.
There's been some really interesting observations about your vocal range. In fact, in the comments, please leave in the comments if you've observed her wide vocal range
Yeah.
and what you think it sounds like.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit for
I
them?
cannot. I don't want to lead them. It needs to be authentic. Like, I don't...
Background for everyone listening.
I don't want to,
Kevin has a lot of opinions on my voice.
Yeah. I don't want to inception like something into their head that's not
Mhm.
already there.
Okay.
That feels manipulative, and in marketing, that's not the kind of marketing we do here.
This feels like a good time to tell you that I created a TikTok of you yesterday.
Oh,
Um,
this feels like a good time to tell you. I've never been on TikTok, but now I'm on TikTok.
are you on it now?
Well, you just said it. You
Oh,
created a TikTok.
you need to make an account. So
I don't think I do.
how are you going to follow all this hilarious stuff? Just believe me that it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay,
in my... Yeah.
so that actually leads me to a question for you
Yeah.
is how are you getting notifications of new episodes? Because very often I promote them on social media and you're not on social media. So this is some insights for me.
It shows up in my YouTube feed. I've watched it enough.
So you're subscribed.
I'm not. So C Point has their YouTube channel, and I've watched a few videos on that.
Mm-hmm.
The FreeDive podcast, is it on the C Point? Or
Yeah,
is
it
it on
all
separate?
goes to C
Yeah,
Point's
yeah.
channel.
So it shows up in my YouTube feed every Tuesday morning anyway.
Okay.
Although I missed one, and it stopped showing up because I listened to it on Spotify one week.
It sounds like you need to subscribe to our channel.
I probably do subscribe. I'm sure I do. Yeah, I'm sure I do.
So you listen on YouTube.
I normally listen on YouTube Tuesday morning when I'm working out. Like, that's my normal routine. But I've been traveling the last few weeks, and I need to listen to it on audio only. And so I started listening to it on Spotify, which also appeals.
So let me back you up.
But it's Spotify audio only. I don't
Okay.
watch the video on Spotify.
On YouTube, are you listening to the video version or the YouTube podcast version?
Video.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just don't watch the video because you're working out or whatever.
I mean, it's there. It's like on my iPad next to me.
Got
So if something like visual comes up, then I'll like be watching it more.
Okay.
If something funny gets said, a couple of them have been like, you've had some pretty like heavy episodes.
We have had a couple
Yeah.
of heavy. Okay, yeah. So
I don't think this is one of those.
no.
But it is, because sometimes laughter's covering up pain. So maybe this is heavy, but
Maybe it's
it's
secretly
just
heavy.
covered.
Yeah.
Leave comments.
Leave comments. What do you think Kevin and I are dealing with?
If you have a medical degree, please leave comments.
Yeah. Oh, please. Please. I would love someone to just analyze.
And send the bill
This.
to C Point Digital.
Yes. Bill at
Bill at-
cpoint.digital.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his email.
Mm.
What was the question
Next
I was gonna
question,
ask
please.
you? You're supposed to be asking me questions, but it is making me think of questions for you. Oh, Spotify. So are you aware that the video versions are on Spotify?
Yeah, because sometimes it'll start playing the video, and I'm like, stop that.
Stop that.
Just audio. It's an audio thing. Because that's why I'm on the Spotify for audio, because I'm working, doing something else. So.
Well, you can listen and the video
yeah.
just runs.
I usually download it
Oh, okay.
because sometimes I'm way out in the middle of nowhere.
Got it.
Yeah. So I just want to download it, have it there, not be interrupted, or on the plane. I'm on
This
the
is
plane.
reminding me in this moment that I need to teach you how to use chapter markers.
Oh yeah, because we were trying to find something the other day on it, and this is not an appropriate topic for the podcast, though. Me finding out about chapter markers.
I think it is. Because
Anyway.
I want everyone to know they exist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the podcasts are broken up into chapters, and so if there's a specific topic, for example, when she did the Instagram episode, maybe there's something specifically about Instagram that interests you. For example, you might have heard that you post something, and people you don't want to see it are seeing it, and so you need to change a setting in your Instagram. You could go straight to that part of it. What was that part
There
called?
wasn't a super accurate
Representation?
representation of what you can learn. But yep, you're close. As a person that doesn't have Instagram, I feel like it's very cute you listened to that episode and didn't shut it off.
So there's ageism, right? There's sexism.
Mm-hmm.
What is it when you constantly degrade somebody for not having Instagram?
I don't know, but
Instagramism.
yeah,
So,
clearly, that's what I feel towards you.
yeah. What do you think about people that aren't on social media
I don't-
at all? What do you have a feeling, or
I don't actually.
have you ever
and
met somebody
I actually clearly.
like myself?
Yeah, I do. And I do understand it. I do understand it. And if you listened to that episode, you know that my strong feeling about social media is to protect your peace. And if that protects your peace, then I support you.
So there's a couple reasons I'm not on social media.
Mhm.
This is not turning into a confessions episode, I don't think.
Okay.
Although I guess I am on social media. That's we're doing a podcast.
You're going to be now.
But the reason I don't have my own account,
Mhm.
this goes way back, because obviously I was there when it started.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, there's lots of people I don't know where they are that I've met, and friends and things like that I
Right.
haven't kept in contact with.
Right.
And so I was afraid that I would spend too much time on it. I could get sucked into this easily. And that was early days before that was really like a concern for a lot of people. And B, I didn't want to spy on people. Just follow them, watch what they're doing, old friends.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put the pressure on myself. If I really want to know what my old friends are doing, I can call them.
Yeah.
Or I can sit down and talk to them.
At the very least,
'Cause
message them.
I really
personally.
I really enjoy talking to people.
Yeah.
It's such a amazing. I think there's so many connections when you're face to face talking to people that we don't even appreciate. We don't fully understand.
Yeah, I agree.
Because even watching a podcast when it's two people talking face to face is so much better than me watching two people on Zoom podcasting.
Mm.
Which it's weird because I'm watching it through a screen or just listening to it. And yet it makes a difference in my user experience.
Oh, that is interesting for me to know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain why. So there must be something going on between two people when they're face to face.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyway, you can chat GPT that and see what the answer
You
is.
keep saying that. I had a follow-up question.
Is that not a thing?
It's just you. That's just funny. You keep saying that. I had a question in the middle of what you said, and I lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm shaming you.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I feel like because I totally agree with everything you said, but and I like connecting with people that way too. But I think the reason I like being on social media is because I have so many friends that live in so many places. I like being able to keep up with what they're doing,
Yeah.
and I like the ability to just be able to leave a quick comment, like just to be able to be like, I'm so glad you're doing well. You look happy. Like you got a new dog. Yay, whatever. And rather than periodically, rather than going like years maybe without ever hearing from them, seeing them, knowing that they got married, whatever. And then being like, wow, what have you been doing the last 3 years? So I like being able to check in. That being said, I do occasionally take a month, 2 month, 3 month breaks, and I will deactivate and go ghost for a little while because I feel like I'm either spending too much time, I'm feeling negative about it, or whatever. I just need a break. I need a break from people knowing what I'm doing with my life, whatever. And then that helps. And then I'm back and yeah. So
What's the longest break you've taken in the last few years, anyway?
like 4 months.
Whoa, 4 months.
Yeah.
That's a substantial break.
Yeah, and then the only I don't even know that I would have come back. The only reason I did is because my dad got sick, and I had like a million people messaging me, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" And I didn't feel capable of texting anyone back, so I just put up a message on my story, being like, "Hey, this is what happened. We're doing okay." So again, that was an easy way to communicate with people,
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm doing
Yeah.
okay. He's still alive," like whatever. So, but yeah, it was.
No,
it was
it's efficient. Like
Mhm.
I mean, we're in marketing.
Yeah.
We understand the efficiency of
Yep.
mass communication.
Yep.
So yeah, that part of it I think is beautiful.
Yep.
And that part of it I do regret from time to time when there are certain events.
Yep.
And that you keep having to essentially repeat the same message over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to like check in with us like a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
Just put it on the YouTube. It'll pop right up.
Yeah. No, I mean your life with us.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see each other on the video chats all the time.
Yeah.
The coffee break every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday. Every other Wednesday.
Yeah.
So anyway, next question.
Yeah.
Next question. Wake up. Do you need a...
My question or
Oh,
your
you have-
question? You're interviewing me.
Oh, I'm interviewing you. Shoot. Is there a goal that you're working towards? Are you already there?
Hmm.
What's
So
going on?
this started because months leading up to it, I was podcasting in my personal time with another friend. He had a podcast, and I went on his podcast with my own personal experience that had to do with fitness and my triathlon and whatever. And then after
Oh, you did a triathlon?
I did
Whoa.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin in that.
pin in
Okay.
that. And so after he was done interviewing me, he was like, "What do you know about, all these media side of it?" And he ended up taking me on as his producer. And I was just doing that as a hobby in my free time, but I ended up learning so much that I started talking more about exploring the idea of us podcasting because I had already learned how to do so much. And it wasn't as hard as I thought, in the sense that, like, how do people even get a podcast on Spotify? Like, how does that
Right.
happen? Like, and when I started really looking into it, I'm like, it's not just a podcast that we will produce, because what comes from it is it's the audio content, it's video content, it's social media content, it's the copy content that can go into blogs. And so it's content that goes really far and wide for C Point. So it's not just, oh, we have a podcast now. It's like, no, every time we have an episode, it gives us like a whole boatload of content for the company.
Yeah.
And it's content that can be duplicated, and like I said, turned into blogs, turned into whatever. And so, as Bill and I were just kind of talking over, like, would this be a good idea? And he was kind of just like, we won't know until we try it.
Yeah.
And what's the harm in it? Like, right now, you've got the time, and if you want to take on this. And at the time, like, Annalyn and I took it on together. Some circumstances changed, and she's very much still a part of it. But we were just like, let's try it. Let's see how it goes for a while and commit to it. And so the if nothing else, the return on investment is simply, every week I've got to produce social media content for us. We need to keep our YouTube channel moving in some way. We've got to keep blogs going on the website. So if nothing else, it keeps that stuff moving. And that has been amazing for me because I do our social media. For years have constantly just been like, guys, we got to like make a TikTok or something, because I've got to keep it moving, and consistency is key in keeping those things alive.
The algorithm's happy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so having this where I consistently every week now have too much content to be posting, that alone has been super helpful. Furthermore, it's showing our audiences, it's showing our clients, our current clients, potential clients, that we're knowledgeable on what we do, right? On all kinds of topics. So, if anyone comes to our site or any of our pages, our YouTube, our social media, they can see that uh, you know, we are knowledgeable on all things digital marketing. We have, the professionalism behind the name because we know about all these different kinds of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and there's so many more blogs out there than even there's a lot of podcasts.
mhm.
There's way more blog. There's like a blog for every human on earth practically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of podcasts, but not nearly as many. So yeah, having your foot in podcasting, it gives you much more reach.
Yes.
And I was thinking, not that the world's leaving blogging altogether, but obviously there's been a transition where blogging 20 years ago, 10 years ago was just the focal point
Yes.
of online media.
Mm-hmm.
And now obviously it's not the center of attention for a lot of, depending on what you're communicating. But when you can turn a blog, or you can use a podcast like you mentioned, and turn it into a blog and turn it into a social media post, the same content.
Yep.
Because most people aren't going to consume your content on different platforms.
Right.
So yeah, there's a blog out there for somebody.
Yep.
They can read it.
Yep.
Somebody else can listen to it on Spotify.
Yep.
Somebody else can watch the video. And I think that is probably I would say that's a good tip for any content creators and including companies who are trying to market themselves.
Yep.
Like just do even a 10-minute podcast.
Yep.
And take that and put it on your different platforms.
Right.
And get out there. Yeah,
it's kind of a what is the
a shortcut.
2 birds, 1 stone thing?
2 birds with 1 stone.
1 stone.
Yeah.
2 birds. No, 1 stone, 2.
Wait, what?
How many stones do we need for the birds?
It's 2 birds, 1 stone. You had it. You hit the first time. I think the stone, it threw you off.
It's kind of like there are many birds and 1 stone in this situation.
Like shooting fish in a barrel?
Don't confuse me. You know what I'm getting at?
No. Go on.
I'm saying,
Please explain.
I'm saying making this one piece of content gives us so much content. This is how we get derailed.
We are on the right. This is getting traction.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Next question.
Next question. People often ask what I'm drinking.
Yeah. What are you drinking, Kevin?
What's in my Yeti?
Yeah. And what is that Yeti?
This is a Sea Point Digital Yeti. And it has vitamin water in it.
Yeah, but it's...
And I was shocked at how sweet vitamin water is. I was unawares.
He's not drinking a sugar-free one.
I thought it was vitamins. But it's like Flintstone vitamins in water. Remember the Flintstone vitamins when you were a kid?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Can I quickly tell you a funny story about
Yeah.
that? We used to have to take them as kids, and my brother didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so he started flushing his in the toilet.
Flintstone vitamins. But they're
I don't
candy.
know. I don't know, Kevin. His name is also Kevin. And so he would...
Is Kevin the male Karen, by the way?
What does that mean?
Something to think about.
He's not a Karen.
I know, but I'm Kevin, and I feel like...
Oh, is the name?
Yeah, is that like the male
I
version
don't
of a
think so.
Karen? Like, did I get a bad name?
No.
Mom? It wasn't your fault. Okay, Flintstone vitamins toilet. Take 4.
He would flush them. And one night he forgot to flush them. And he left them on the top, like they were just in the toilet. And my mom found them and she blamed them on my sister and I. Because obviously her
You got
precious
in
son
trouble.
would never do that.
Oh.
And so
yeah.
literally our whole lives, she really blamed it on us. And we were like, it was Kevin. We take our vitamins. And she made us take more vitamins that night. So we doubled
But look
up.
how healthy you are now.
Oh my God. And then in our adulthood, he finally admitted to it. And my mom couldn't believe it.
No,
She
really? She
So many things like that happen.
Yeah.
You're sibling free though. So
Yeah, but
it's not
the
related.
result is obvious that there was no one to blame.
Oh, that is hard.
So the only children get, oh, you're an only child, you're spoiled, you're all of these things. you definitely don't get away with anything.
Interesting.
I tried it a few times. You know, I had broken. Well, let me start over. One of my mother's favorite candy dishes. In the 80s, candy dishes were huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but like candy dishes were like crystal manufacturers made a whole line of candy dishes. So my mom had one that somebody had given to her for like an anniversary present. Like, okay, so this candy dish, probably leaded crystal, by the way. Give you lead poisoning in your candy. But so you have this candy dish, and I broke it. It broke. I'm not confessing to anything. It broke.
Okay.
And I got blamed by my mom.
Okay.
I got blamed. And it was like probably middle of the morning, whatever. It must have been summertime. And I go, I don't know. Maybe it was Dad.
Yeah.
I was just throwing it out there. Kind of like a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was Dad.
Right.
And she said, well, we'll ask him when he gets home. And I thought,
Yeah, you do that.
maybe she'll forget that her candy dish broke and she doesn't care anymore. She didn't forget. And Dad denied that it was him. Because it wasn't him. Because it was me. So I got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that was explained to me I'm getting in more trouble because I lied.
Uh-huh.
So blaming Dad was not the solution to my problem in that
Right.
particular case.
A sibling, you could
A
have
sibling would have been, even a dog.
Yeah. Oh, a dog
had a
would have
rabbit.
been good. Blaming the rabbit's
No,
harder.
and it was an outdoor rabbit.
Yeah, that's
So it's-
definitely harder. That's how did the rabbit do it?
It's a rascally rabbit.
Rascally rabbits.
I don't know how they do it. Ask the rabbit.
How does this relate to podcasting? I don't know, you guys.
It seems very relevant.
Okay.
It's getting to know your fellow podcaster.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's important. And that is one of the things I've learned along this journey, back on topic, is storytelling is important. And having the ability to know your podcast hosts separate from the podcast, so like on social media, is important.
Yeah.
People care more.
And I think that's the beauty of a podcast versus just a social media post. Because in a podcast, I don't know how long this particular episode is going to go, but let's say it's a 30, 45, 1 hour of just conversation, FreeDive conversation. It would be you have to have a special disability, mental disability, to be able to present something false for that long.
Yeah.
So the people are really getting to know you.
Right.
And that's authentic.
The challenge is...
Well, they like it or not,
The challenge is getting them to stay. Like, this conversation's got to be pretty intriguing to keep them listening.
This particular one?
Well,
Or in
yes,
general?
but in general.
Yeah, in general. Yeah. Honestly, I don't, because you've had a pretty wide range of topics, and a lot of the topics weren't necessarily super relevant to me. With some of your...
So why did you stay? That's a great question for me.
It gets me through my workout.
Okay.
It just keeps me...
Which part of it,
I
though?
don't know. No, I don't know. I feel I'm pretty loyal. Like, so once I start something, I want to see how it ends,
Okay.
Haven't you ever felt that way?
Yeah.
I have a good attention span because I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
So
That could be.
I can get through a whole episode.
Tell me your favorite episode. Or one of the
I guess
ones you enjoyed the most.
The Instagram one, I guess, pops out to me for some... I don't know why, if I'm not on it. But I guess it was I do like to hear how things developed.
Yeah.
And you kind of explained the evolution of Instagram.
Yeah.
So I found that to be interesting. And on a different podcast years ago, I heard an interview with the founder of Instagram. And he
Oh.
explained sort of how it began and how it got traction and some of the little technical details that made them beat the competition at the same game. Because obviously they weren't the only person doing what they did.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting podcast to see. They had made a couple of little technical choices that allowed the pictures to upload more easily and more quickly on their platform than a competitor's platform. And one of it had to do with the square, making the picture square.
Yeah.
That was part of it. And they had a couple other little technical tricks, but you'll have
Hmm.
to find that. It's out there on the internet somewhere. I don't remember what podcast it was.
That's good to know.
But yeah, so it was interesting to hear that and then to hear how it developed from your point of view as a consumer.
Do you feel like as a listener, it makes a difference to you to listen to, like that was an episode where I was by myself versus episodes where there's two or more people?
I like both. I like both. Like the voiceover episode I enjoyed, even though I've never done voiceovers or never thought about that topic really.
Yeah.
So I guess I just curious person.
Yeah.
Or I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like hearing other people talk.
Yeah.
Only children.
Children.
Sometimes it's sad.
Yeah. This is a depressing reason to listen to the FreeDive
Oh, we took that
podcast.
dark turn that I had
We
worried
knew
about.
we'd get
Yeah.
there,
Mm.
unfortunately.
I think we're gonna have to blame you now
No, I don't think so.
because you're the only constant. You're the constant in this podcast. I'm new. So, are you allowed to roast the host of the podcast?
And on this episode, we're going to roast the host.
Roast the host, Kristy. Roasted
We've been doing a
Kristy.
lot of that off camera.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's been fun, right?
It has been.
Oh man, I've
fun.
had so much fun. We drove up here to Maine, and it's been just a blast being up here. Yeah, loving it.
Good.
By the way, this is something I wanted to mention to Bill, so I guess I'll mention it here, and maybe he'll watch.
Maybe it'll make it to
Bill,
him.
this is for you. So, a lot of the economic problems in small towns in America have to do with resources being taken away. Sometimes it's just the youth moving to big cities and the next generation of workers aren't there. Sometimes it's big box corporations moving in and shutting down the local mom and pop stores because they can't compete. And what's the difference? It's the same people maybe working there, but it's not quite because the main profit's being extracted to a corporate headquarters somewhere far away. So that town's not benefiting. The owner of that town is not in that, or that shop is not in that town. But Sea Point is in a small town, Kittery, Maine.
Yeah.
I don't know how the economy in general is in Kittery, Maine, but it's doing the opposite. It has clients all over the country, and it's employing people in a small town,
Right.
And benefiting that small town. The owner lives in the town.
Right.
The employees, by and large, live in the town.
Right.
And so Sea Point Digital is really helping out small town America in a unique way.
Yeah.
That doing a larger agency might not benefit a small town in that same way, or doing something in New York. Obviously, they do amazing work at any agency anywhere, but there's that side benefit of chipping into a small town
Yeah, I've
culture.
never thought about that.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
So good job, Sea Point.
Good job, Sea Point.
Bill,
Bill.
good job not choosing Brooklyn.
Yeah, for many reasons.
It would be hard for you.
It would be hard. I'm not going to Brooklyn. I'll tell you that.
Forget about it.
There's many places I'd
I lived
go.
in Brooklyn 12 years, so I have
Yeah.
a special place in my heart for Brooklyn.
You can hang there. I don't. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's New York is, if you really get into it, it's a series of small towns. So you just have to find the small town that you relate to in New York, and you'll feel very at home. Like you'll feel so at home, because it's in a small town. Let's say Kittery's 10,000 people. How many podcasters are there? And if that was your super interest,
Right.
how many podcasts? You can't get together with that many podcasts. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's all here. But in Brooklyn, you could probably get together every night with a new group of podcasters and talk podcasting if that was your interest. So that's one of the benefits is when you find your little small town, your niche in a big city, you have a big culture. But social media kind of solves that. You can get together with people.
Yeah.
That's a huge game changer, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, is that it?
I think so. I feel like we
You feel
really.
exhausted, don't you?
No, I don't.
So I had a couple of jokes.
Okay, let's do it. I'm scared.
I'm just kidding.
I'm scared.
I don't have any jokes.
Okay. Well, in that case.
Yeah. Thanks, Kristy. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for being here.
Can we make this like an annual event?
I was kind of thinking,
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like we could just do this on Riverside sometime.
Yeah. Did you ever notice in the first season of The Office, Michael Scott, he had thinning hair.
Yes.
And then he didn't.
Yes. Hair plugs.
That's kind of what I'm hoping.
What does that have to do with us?
This is like season 1 for me. And people be like, oh. And then season 2, when I come back next year, they'll be like, hey,
You have more hair?
did his hair just like fill in?
What are you talking about?
Wouldn't that be great?
Your hair is so full, it's insane. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so that's what we're shooting for. I want to follow Michael Scott's trajectory of getting more hair through the years.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's go for that.
Let's go for that. Not for me. I have enough hair for everyone.
Oh, are you offering?
If you want to take some, like take it home with you. Take it home with
Oh,
you.
your hair sparkles. Look at that. How
Yeah.
does that work? Wait. Let's. Oh, we put a pin in your triathlon. Hang on. Take 5. So when was this triathlon?
2015.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
It's been a second.
Yeah, 9 years. What motivated you to want to do a triathlon?
Someone asked me to do
were
it,
duped
so
into
I
it.
decided to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a special someone in your life or just a friend?
It was just a friend,
Okay.
and
Was it here locally?
Portland, Maine. Try
Okay.
for a cure for breast cancer. So it's
Okay.
women only.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and
What about men that care about that topic?
this is for women only. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and the first
Leg?
wave of women
Okay.
is all breast cancer survivors.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does a triathlon? How did it go? So you start off with a swim.
It was yep. Yeah, it starts off as a swim, and the day
How long is a swim?
of half a mile
Oh, okay.
in the ocean, and the day of the race it was in the summer, but it was very cold, and the water was like 60 degrees, and it was thunderstorming,
Okay.
and they were kind of like, this is dangerous, but you guys are adults, do it if you want to do it. So they had divers underneath us looking for sharks the whole time too.
No.
Yes.
Did they find any?
If
They didn't tell
they
you.
didn't tell me. And the
Nice.
scary thing about that is I just thought, so if there's a shark and I'm out in the middle of the
Yeah.
ocean, they're gonna pop up and go, shark, and I'm gonna swim
Did they have like
back faster. I'm already
Right.
swimming as
as
fast as I
fast as I
can.
can? Right. Did they have a shark gun? Maybe.
I saw no harpoons.
harpoons.
Like there's just
Oh
people
yeah, there
swimming.
used to be whaling in the Northeast, so they could have had one of those old.
I think it was mostly to like comfort us, but it wasn't very comforting.
I think we really got onto a gold mine with this topic.
Mhm.
So first leg swimming, sharks, waves.
And then
Everybody
you like
survives.
you strip off your wetsuit,
yeah.
and then you're like, it's like disgusting.
Yeah, you're on
and,
the
like,
beach, right? Yeah, and
yeah,
you're hustling.
and-
You're trying to keep moving.
And like everyone from like the news and radio is like watching you like strip and helping you strip, and then you're like wet and you have to throw on sneakers and like start running, and it's just like everyone's like, yay, you're
Yeah.
amazing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I've just never felt or looked worse in my life, and you're taking pictures of me now, and it's just so yeah, it's just not. You don't feel sexy is what you should take away from this. You do not feel
Right.
sexy.
All right. So you survive. So people survive breast cancer, and then they're put through this
They choose to.
to choose. They choose to be put through this to help other people survive breast cancer.
Yeah, you
To
have to.
then
You
go
have to
on-
raise sponsorship to do it. Obviously,
Why can't we raise funds without doing horrible things?
It's a great question that I can't answer.
Why not like take everybody out
Because-
to dinner and let's raise money and let's eat lobsters?
It's some people really love enduring
I feel-
suffering, and I was one of those people that day.
Would you say you look back at it and it was an enjoyable experience, even though suffering, like
No, I don't think it was enjoyable.
because you didn't do it again?
I think it was more of like that's something I did.
So when I think I was in 6th grade, and they do these little runs where you run around the school track to raise
Mhm.
funds for the school,
Hmm.
which is I feel like there should be some child labor laws involved because they get the kids to talk to their family and friends and neighbors to say like, will you pay us a certain amount per lap that we can do?
Oh my word!
So okay, so I did that, and I got my I had an aunt and uncle. Lots of people said like, yeah, okay, and then my aunt and uncle like, yeah, like how many laps do you think you do? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 5. And They're like, okay, we'll give like $10 per lap. I did like 100 laps.
Oh my word, Kevin.
I, and I didn't know. Like, I was in 6th
How
grade.
long were the laps?
They were just whatever a lap at the school. Like, I guess it's
Like
is it a
it's
quarter
a quarter
mile?
mile.
Yeah, yeah.
And you ran 100 of them?
I did a lot of laps. Like, it was a long, like, it was like a 3, it was like half, it's like, again, like child labor laws. It was like half the day. Like, you could take, like, it was like, let's have lunch and then.
Okay, so you could take breaks and do more.
It was as long as you wanted to go. Like, and turns out I didn't realize, like, I'm a pretty good runner. Like, just like.
Clearly.
I didn't realize because I was a little heavy set in my younger years, in pre-adolescence. And so in 6th grade, like, I didn't look like
A runner?
a runner. And I think they may have anticipated I wasn't a runner. My estimate was.
Kevin's not going to run
Right.
more than 5 laps, let's be honest.
Right, exactly. And so it was shocking to them that it affected, like, their retirement strategy.
That's a very good marketing scheme.
But thankfully, the second mortgage came through on their house and everything
Oh
worked
my word.
out.
That is a very good story.
But I mean, you should have seen the stadium that the school built after that. It was fantastic.
based on
Yeah.
based on your scheme
Yeah.
of
Matt
being
Damon can
chubby
play
and
my
running.
part. Matt Damon or David Goggins. David Goggins can play my part
Oh
when
my,
in the movie. Yeah. So that was my triathlon.
I really love
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah.
How do you do with running these days?
It's infrequent,
Mm.
but just last week I was with my parents and I did a couple of 4-mile runs in the morning, and it was 32 minutes, 4 miles, mostly flat.
I can't do that math. 8 is that
8-minute
8-minute
miles.
miles?
Which
I
so I
don't.
asked ChatGPT. I ChatGPT'd it, and I said, like, what's a good, like, I want, like, how am I doing? I wanted to get like the analytics on this, like, how did I do? And at 44, and it said like I did pretty good. And then I did like, so what's world class? It's like 4 minutes. I'm like, oh, come on.
8-minute mile is fantastic.
I
What are you
thought
talking
so.
about?
And then ChatGPT
World
agreed.
that's like Olympics.
But yeah,
the
so
Olympians
it
do
was like
4-minute
4 or
miles.
5 minutes. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Anyway, so yeah. There's always somebody better. That's the point. That's really.
That is the point. Unless you're
Do your
Simone
best,
Biles.
but remember, there's always somebody else that's a little better, and that's okay. On that note,
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you for this interview. I
Good.
really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I know you're gonna say this was your favorite, and I'll accept that.
I won't know that until after I edit it.
I'll accept that modestly, but you're welcome.
Thank you all for listening to this, and we'll see you next time. It's the end.
No, it's not. There's more.
There's always more.
Don't be sad. You can catch our full video interviews on our YouTube channel. Come find us.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends so that we're not sad.
And follow us on TikTok.
And Instagram.
It'll make your day happier, promise.
And we'll know if you do. Until next time.